Good morning. Good morning, you guys. Listen, I'm sitting through and listening to this one as it uploads to YouTube. It's going to be a pretty long one. It's going to take a couple hours. So this is probably going to get up before it does. Okay, so I'm going to call this the short buzz, just so that you can get a quick heads up. And this is going to go fast. All right. Because what I've gotten by reading the book of Proverbs is that it is a book about the instructions. It's this idea that once you do hook up with God, once you finally go through the idea of sowing the seed correctly, which is the idea of, being able to see past the letter of the Bible and going into the spiritual side of things, this idea of reading scripture through its symbolism, you'll find that this is what they're talking about. This is the instruction. And those people that learn about God, we learn about we the fear of God is brings us to this knowledge that we had to go through the works, that we had to go and stomp. We had to be a part of the physical side of the Bible. We had to represent this following along with the whore and with church and with following the word for word, and that these people, that the wicked in the stories, in the stories, that we find that the wicked people believe the word for word. They believe in it word for word, but it's got the wicked stamped to it. So you'll see that, within the Bible is itself is representing a vessel. It's containing something. So like us, we are a vessel. We are containing something. So there's the physical side of something, but then through this magical dark language of God, and parables and allegories are the inner workings of this Bible, the spiritual side of this Bible are revealed to us, which reveals the inner workings of ourselves. And when we find this out and connect to God, connect mom and dad both together, and lose the lower mind by cutting off the lower side, by circumcising yourself, that this is the same stories that's been barked about, no matter where they are in the world, or in our Bible. It's talking about the good son does this, the good son does that. But it's still saying that, even if you are wicked, he's going to take care of you. This is what we also get, is that we get this idea that he's taking care of the foolish, and he's taking also care of those that but it's not he's taking care of both sides. We already know that God is on both sides, but just because the two of them together make God. But when we don't have him, then we're just off the Father. That's the wicked side. So but both sides are God. Okay. Now, what I was going to get at is I'm going to give you a quick heads up. The stories that come about, and I went through them. What I did is I took out an individual line. They're all in fours, like we're talking about with the way they're telling the stories. Everything is made up in worlds. And so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So as I went through and read these individuals, the individual chapters, I explained them by using like the second one or the third one or the fourth one. So, all through the reading, you're going to get what's represented by that particular part of the world. It just made it easier, a quicker read. It took it down to nothing. But what we're finding out is that there's more slumber. There's it's this idea that you have to discover this, that you have to find this place, and that when you discover it, wonderful things happen. But until you discover it, you're being snared. You're being pulled along. And so this is just a reassuring us that that those of us that have gained this knowledge and gained this insight, gained this wisdom, this understanding. When you have this understanding, then you know that you have gained, this is what you have gained, is the knowledge of God, knowledge about yourself. And so this is speaking a lot about, hey, there is also, not a lot, but it talks about the folly. This is all throughout this book, at the last half of this, of all these stories, they're talking about the folly, being led along on a folly. And let me tell you, I've heard that word used in all spiritual language now. And so that folly is involved with all religions. You could just say folly in Buddhism, and you'll get the scriptures that have to do with folly in them. The folly in Hinduism, and pull up all the scriptures that reference the folly, and you'll see that it's all the same. Folly is, it's like, it's some kind of fantasy. You're hooked on the fantasy, but man, they make that fantasy out to where, when you're following this whore, when you're hooked on the bitch, man, she's taking care of everything for you. But the story is telling us here in Proverbs is no matter what you're getting, it's empty. No matter what they're giving you or handing you, it gives you nothing. No matter what they do, it brings nothing to you. And the scripture is pretty much showing you that, you're in sleep. When you're in sleep, you're asleep. You are one sleepy thing. And so, that's it. So, but it's really hard to understand. It's not hard to understand. When you do these next stories with me, if you do them with me, that's what these short buses usually, keeps you from having to go over it. Because to make a long story short, you can go through this book and see what my job to do is to prove that this code exists. And so I played around with the idea. So I pulled out the individual things to see how they ran, and it worked perfectly. But I don't know all of the terms and things like this, like this idea of when somebody's, when God calls, he wanted us, he said, to fall the long stone. He rewarded the fool, the transgressors. No, it's not that one. Here it is. It's in Proverbs number 27, and it's number 3. It says, "My son, be wise and make my heart glad, that I may answer him that reproaches me." All right. Well, I do know what that means now, but I didn't know when I was doing it. I think I understand it now, that it's this idea that that if you were to come up to him, this is like this about like something to do with a third party. So it's like, I would like to. He says, "Be wise and make my heart glad." And be wise is the idea is, we want you to be on the good side, not the wicked side. And the wise is taking knowledge and taking direction. All right, is looking to be corrected, and this is what he's talking about. I would like to. So reproaches me. So this is this. We have to approach him from the inside, and it's it's our soul that he's asking. I would like to be able to talk to you about this. My son, be wise and make my heart glad, that I may answer him that reproaches me. And that is so that I can talk to you. Come up and hang out with me. And this is somehow or another a third party, and they say it's kind of, it's not used anymore, but it's a singular something another that has to do with the third party. And you know that you and I are in these stories divided into three. We're in thirds. It's going to be our skin, our belief, and our soul. So this idea that we're all in threes, right? And it's our soul that's up there as the one that's doing the judging, you know. And so we just find that if we gained knowledge, if we would sow our seed correctly, and what we get back is knowledge, how to read the Bible, how what it really means now, instead of believing in the fleshy side of it. All right. So, anyways, it works out really good, but it really brings us down to just the sixth chakra, or up to, and only there. All right. Most everybody on Earth, this is as far as you go. You get to the sixth, and that's it. Even when you die on the street somewhere, you wind up on the sixth chakra. You wind up, you follow this light, and you get to this place, this holding place, where you're in rest. But at the same time, it says, "Are you sure you're ready to go?" Or this is where people say, "I don't think you're ready to go. You have to come back home. You got to go back to Earth." And then they'll flash you pictures of beautiful things. Your mom or your dog or your kitty cats or your fish, whatever it is. And that, who's going to feed my dog? So right back down to Earth you go, because you ain't done your works, because you just died, and that doesn't mean nothing. That you didn't do your works, you go back to get back in hell, go back down. This is where you got to go. Do your work. You're not ready yet, baby. That's what it says. I met Jesus, and Jesus told me you got more to do. I met him. Well, if someone ever tells you that, it's also mentioned in this Proverbs, don't believe it, because we all go up in spirit. Anybody who goes and speaks to God, anybody that actually has God connected in them, and when they speak with the Lord, you come back, you go up in spirit, and you don't have any of your skin with you. You got no way of recording anything. None of us, any one of us, even the connected guys, never know what God looks like, can't ever see them, can't hear them, can't taste them, can't do anything. Totally void of any kind of knowledge like that, face-to-face business. Nope, doesn't work that way. So you can say that they're lying, and that's God works through us, Anybody who says they speak to God is a false witness. Yes, sir. Anyways, this is a short bus. We didn't learn anything new. We didn't. It's the same stuff over and over again. But what you can get out of it is this works that you can get. Look at this. Do what I did. Play around with the idea of those four worlds. All right? Those four worlds. Check them out. Read about it and tune your ear to these things. All right? Start working on this yourself. All right? It's my job to bring it to the foreground. Now I brought it. I know it works. So why don't you try it out too? Look at it. It's pretty cool stuff. All right. Check with you soon. There's 2 more stories left of this to go. 2 short stories. All right, 2 chapters. Chat with you soon.